الحمد لله نحمده سبحانه ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفوته من خلقه وحبيبه قد بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في سبيل دينه حتى أتاه اليقين. أما بعد، يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. This month, the month of Ramadan, all of it from beginning to end is meant to achieve that goal, to help us develop taqwa. لعلكم تتقون. We spoke about this issue before as an introduction, but today we want to focus on how to use the month of Ramadan as a season to develop the taqwa by the end of the month. And why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highlight taqwa as the ultimate purpose of fasting? And why does He give it a whole month? Because basically taqwa is both a way of life and an attitude. Taqwa is to live in the shade of Allah 24/7. Taqwa permeates every aspect of our life. It is not only a matter between you and Allah, as we normally would say, ittaqillah, but it also reaches to the minutest things in our life that we do almost casually and not pay attention to. Everything in this life requires taqwa. Taqwa is the centerpiece of Islam, and it is a higher level than mere belief or mere Islam. We know that in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when Jibreel came to ask him questions to teach the companions what is Islam, what is Iman, what is Ihsan, Taqwa is even a higher level than all of that. Taqwa means you have connected so deep and so strongly with Allah that He and He only is the only motivator for anything you say or not say, anything you do or not do. It is all revolving and centered around your belief in Allah and your fear of His punishment as much as you fear His displeasure, or to fear His displeasure as much as you fear His punishment. الَّذِينَ يَرْجُونَ رَحْمَتَهُ وَيَخَافُونَ عَذَابَهُ. So fear is part of taqwa, but it is not the whole taqwa. Taqwa in the Arabic language means protection. It could also mean avoiding what is supposed that you avoid. Meaning, Umar ibn Khattab was asking Abdurrahman ibn Auf, telling him, "Ma taqwa ya ibn Auf?" What is taqwa, O son of Auf? He says, "Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, amashayta fi ardin biha shawk?" Have you gone through a land where it has trees and thorns and bushes? He says, "Yes, I did." He said, "What do you do?" He said, "Ushammiru wa attaqi." Ushammiru wa attaqi. I pull up my clothing and avoid getting my clothing entangled with the thorns coming out of the bushes. He says, this is taqwa. Taqwa is to pull your clothing. In the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ألا إن لكل ملك حمى. Every king has a protected area, call it protectorate or special area. ألا إن لكل ملك حمى ألا وإن حمى الله محارمه. The protectorates of Allah are things that He has made prohibited for us. ألا يوشك أحدكم أن يكون كالراعي يحوم حول الحمى يوشك أن يقع فيه. One of you may be grazing his animals very close to a land that is fenced. It's not his, but he gets too close that he may allow his sheep to graze in the land of another person. So he's giving us the example that Allah has limits and has boundaries, and we must observe the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It just doesn't take a matter of knowledge and information that a person will develop taqwa. Because as we mentioned in the beginning, taqwa is both a way of life and an attitude. A way of life in the sense that you learn what you need to avoid. So Allah tells us about wine and alcoholic beverages and whatever else, maisir, gambling, فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ. Exactly like Abdul Rahman ibn Auf explained to Umar al-Khattab. فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ means avoid it. Avoid it. Don't stay in the same place. Don't enter a place where wine is being served or sold or offered for drinks. Avoid it. Don't get close. What's avoidance? What do we avoid? We normally avoid dangerous things. If there is fire, we avoid crossing through the fire. If there is flooding, they tell you don't cross with your car in high flooded areas. Why? It's dangerous, right? So, as when there is a heavy storm of hail or anything like this, they tell you do not get out. Why? You expose yourself to a lot of harm. So avoidance is part of taqwa. But taqwa at the heart is to be mindful of Allah 24/7. And I want you to focus on the 24/7. Because most of us, if not all of us, we have some degree of taqwa or another. But Allah expects us to be more than what we allow ourselves to be. He wants us to be protected from His displeasure, His anger, and His punishment as much as He deserves to be feared and respected, to respect His limits. So He calls on us and says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ. It's a high bar to climb. But Allah is calling us to this high bar because He knows the more He lowers the bar, the less the bar matters. Because humans always slack beyond the call of duty. So Allah wants us to put the maximum effort to reach the maximum level, but still as much as you can. So in another ayah He says, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. And here is the issue. When we decide that we cannot do any better, we undercut the abilities that Allah has given us. So I say, I cannot do anymore. I cannot be patient anymore. I cannot take this whatever anymore. All of these are self-inhibition statements. It inhibits your ability. It handicaps you from going to the higher level. Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhum, they used to compete. Compete in what? Community service, reaching out to poor people, helping the elderly and stuff like this. Umar ibn Khattab tried his level best to beat Abu Bakr at something good. He was never able to. Abu Bakr was always on the top. So Umar al-Khattab says, ما سابقت أبا بكر إلى خير قط إلا سبقني إليه. I never competed with Abu Bakr for something good, but he would always win the race to whatever is good. So Umar al-Khattab one day decided that this time I will beat him. So he picks a very old lady that needed help. And he said, I will go to her before Fajr to help her get wudu, make salah, and then I will come to join the Prophet ﷺ, and I will catch and I will do something Abu Bakr never did. I will prepare her breakfast, I will take her everything that she might need, and he goes to find Abu Bakr coming out. So he made his statement. He said, I never competed with Abu Bakr, but he would beat me at anything good. So this is the level of ittaqullaha haqqa tuqatih. Be mindful of Allah as you ought to be fully mindful of Him. Several surahs in the Quran start with at-taqwa. Surah An-Nisa, Ya ayyuha nas, talking to all mankind, ittaqullaha alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahida وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام. Fear Allah and be mindful of Allah, O mankind, the one who created you from a single pair of a male and a female. And from one soul He made all of you. And from that soul He created multitudes of men and women and spread them all over the earth. وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَنِسَاءً. Then وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ and fear Allah الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامِ. And fear Allah, the one that you invoke His name. In your swearing, you invoke the name of Allah. In your promises, you invoke the name of Allah. In your testimony, you invoke the name of Allah. In your engagement, you want to engage a girl and her family, you invoke the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In contracting, you invoke the name of Allah. So Allah is saying, الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ, that you seek everything good for your life in the name of Allah, and also because the Arabs used to swear by Al-Arham, Allah says, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامِ. What is Rahim? Rahim is a womb. In the Hadith Qudsi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to the Rahim, to the womb, and says, أيتها الرحم ألا ترضين أني اشتققت لك اسما من اسمي. Rahim from Rahmah, wa Rahim and Rahman all come to the same root. Okay? ألا ترضين, wouldn't you be happy أنه من وصلك وصلته ومن قطعك قطعته. Aren't you going to be happy that he who connects you, I will connect him. He who disconnects with you, I will disconnect him. This is how important the Rahim is. Rahim is the place where the fetus develops. As a young fertilized egg constituted of two cells, it grows. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grows it. Where? In the Rahim, the most secure place in the woman's body. And He takes care of this all by His mercy, from beginning to end, all up to Him. Nobody could do anything about it. It's all up to Him. It's like a plant seed. You throw it in the earth, it's all from there up to Allah. You can do nothing to make it grow. So, likewise, the fetus grows in the Rahim to let everyone who comes through any Rahim, any womb that you come out of, remember that you came through the mercy, the care, and the attention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how we came to being. This is how necessary and important wombs are, and wombs signify women in the circle of families. Wombs signify the fact that women who brings us to life through their patience in the pregnancy, the delivery, the afterbirth suffering, and the pain of rearing a young child who is 100% dependent on his mom in particular, so that we remember who our moms are, how much attention and care we should give them. It is not about lip service, I love you, mom. It is about showing real respect. And real manhood is in the respect of your women, your mother, your sister, your daughter. In as much care as you offer them, you are exercising your manlyhood. The Prophet ﷺ, to signify the importance of women and even young girls, he says, من ابتلاه ربه بثلاث من هؤلاء فأحسن إليهن وأحسن تربيتهن حتى زوجهن فله الجنة. Anyone who is gifted or tested by 3 daughters, he cares for them, he is merciful to them, he trains them well until they get married, they will be a barrier between him and hellfire. Then a smart woman companion standing by, she said, what about 2? She only had 2 girls. So she says, what about 2? He says, and 2. Another one who had only 1 girl said, me too. She said, what about 1? He said, even 1. Because he knows the women are the spirit for society, the spirit in the family, the spirit in the home. When you make your wife happy, when you make your daughter happy, you are creating a very positive spirit at home. They radiate love, they radiate care, they radiate compassion. This is how children learn to be loving and caring and compassionate. They inherit it from the mother, not through the blood, but through the real training in the real life. So when Allah says, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامِ, He definitely wants us to pay attention to 50% of the society. Not to relegate them, not to demean them, not to disrespect them, not to disregard their emotions. Some of us men, the majority unfortunately of men, regard women as weak because of their emotions. But when we get married to them, we want all of that emotions to ourselves. And some of us men become jealous when women give attention to their children at some expense from their husband's needs or care. Some of us think that being emotional is bad, that women have to wisen up and be like men. But they are created like this because their mission in life is more about children than it is about husband. It is more about children, nurturing children, nursing children, training children, getting them to pray the first rak'ah, getting them to know Al-Fatiha for the first time. It is moms who do that. Let's not fool ourselves. We men are too busy to father our children, which should change, but at least give the support to your wife to take care of the children. This is taqwa. So we understand how to be muttaqeen when it comes to our relationship to Allah. But do we understand how to be muttaqeen when it comes to our relationship with al-arham, the in-laws, which most of us despise and think they have nothing to do with my home? You grew up and you have a home now? Whom did you marry? It is their girl, right? Give her the respect that she accepted your proposal. You were just a prospect, and she didn't know you. You must give her the ultimate respect to help her become the best mother she can and the best wife she can. So that we are not patronizing women. Women also have rights that they have to have, but they also have duties, because in this life there is no giving without responsibility. Every gift we get, it comes with a responsibility. So, as a wife who gets the gift of a husband, she also has to show respect to her husband. She has to have support for his needs, his expectations. So it works both ways. The man has to be his best, and the Prophet ﷺ told us that. خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ. The best amongst you men is one who is best to his wife. And I am your best. وَأَنَا خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِي. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So he is leading by example so that we follow. He also said, if I were to command a woman to prostrate to anyone other than Allah, I would have commanded her to prostrate to her husband, because of how much rights he has on her. He protects her, he provides for her, he cares for her, he does that chores that she cannot. But also she does certain stuff that you cannot, for which Allah gave her talents and faculties and skills and abilities that we men do not have. It is very important. So in Ramadan, this is the time to train yourself to be muttaqi, to be righteous towards your family, to be righteous towards your neighbors, to be righteous towards your work, to be righteous towards your colleague, your classmates, everyone that you come in touch with. They rely on your righteousness. They rely on your taqwa. So what is taqwa in the context of relationships? It is that you observe the rights of everybody around you, starting with kin, parents first, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, neighbors second, وَالْجَارِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْجَارِ الْجُنُبِ, then casual companions, people that you travel with or use transportation with, وَالصَّاحِبِ بِالْجَنْبِ, then وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ, the wayfarer, the traveler, the stranded person, right? وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ وَمَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ, and whatever your right hand possess, which means what? Everyone that you get in touch with requires your taqwa. Your taqwa extends beyond casual relationship or formal or family relationships. It goes to people that you don't know at all. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. Whenever you speak, monitor how you want to speak and what you want to speak. What you want to speak is important. How you speak and deliver that message is equally important. So this Ramadan, we want to monitor our tongue. We want to monitor our eyes. We want to monitor our ears. We want even to monitor our conscience. Is it alive and well? Is it functioning? Does it stop me where I need to stop? Does it encourage me where I need to go forward? Does it support me when I want to do something good? Does my conscience give me the energy to do what is good? Does it help me think to do even better than what I have done last Ramadan or last week or yesterday? So we have to open our eyes and open our heart to all things that surround the issue of taqwa, not just to be muttaqi between me and Allah, and all else it doesn't matter. Some people think that if my relationship with Allah is good, then I don't mind that anybody says or does anything. The Prophet ﷺ took attention and paid attention to how people react to what he does. Not because he was showing off to people, but because he was the role model and the leader. It matters for him what people say and do regarding what he does and what he says. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu ardah suggested to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that give me the permission, O Prophet, and I will go get rid of this Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, the head of hypocrisy in Medina. He is the one that is creating all the fitan and creating all the trouble for the believers. Let me get rid of him. What does he say? The Prophet ﷺ, noticing that Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, though he is a hypocrite, he realized two facts. Number one, that he, Abdullah, claims to be a Muslim. So he is counted as one of the community. Number two, he also knows that much of the community knows that he is a hypocrite. So here is the answer to Umar, suggesting to give him permission to kill Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul because he was a hypocrite and creator of fitna. So he tells him, Umar, let not people say that Muhammad is killing his companions. لا يقول الناس إن محمدا يقتل أصحابه. See, we, the Muslims, all over the world, unfortunately, we like to have a story to tell. We like to have something to stand on, to show us as heroes, as this and as that. In that process, some of us, unfortunately, they don't mind creating fitna for the whole community. They don't mind how people react, and they say, I'm doing it for Allah. Well, let me tell you something. Your intention is not the only condition for your act to be acceptable. The Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَقْبَلُ مِنَ الْعَمَلِ أَخْلَصَهُ وَأَصْوَبَهُ. Allah would only accept from all of our actions what is most sincere, which means dedicated to Allah and devoted to Allah and based on His guidance. وَأَصْوَبَهُ, which means the most correct, because we have to follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ for our actions to be correct. So it's not enough to say, I'm doing it because of, you have a good reason or good intention. You have to check if what you're doing is consistent with Allah's guidance and or the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Then you have the two conditions fulfilled. But one of them is not good enough. You say, but I'm serving the community. Fine, serve the community. If that's your role, that's what you want to do, you want to volunteer, fine. But you have to do it right. Because you cannot serve the community, which is a community of Muslims, by going outside of the realm of the guidance of the Quran that every Muslim submits to as their source of guidance. So when Allah tells us, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, ittaqullaha, and He says, alladhi tasa'aluna bihi wal arham, al-arham are only the closest of kin, but all else are included in the ayat of Surah An-Nisa and other places. Likewise, our taqwa is very basic requirement for the system of justice. Because without witnesses, there are no justice. No justice. If everybody goes to make a claim and their claim ought to be taken on face value, people lie. People can be distorted. People can misunderstand each other. So there has to be witnesses who are willing to stand for justice. And this is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders us in two places, Surah An-Nisa and Surah Al-Ma'idah, that we stand for justice. In another ayah, and be witnesses unto Allah. In the other ayah, be witnesses unto Allah and stand for justice. كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله. النساء كونوا قوامين لله شهداء بالقسط. So he quoted in two ways, that as a witness, your eye should be on the truth. Don't mind who is the person you're witnessing for or against. Your focus is on truth and what is just. Why? Because your testimony will be in your record on the day of judgment. So that also is part of taqwa. Part of taqwa is, how do you treat your employees? And how do you treat your job? Because if you treat your employees with justice, fairness, you pay them their due right, and you pay it in full, and you pay it on time, they will have a high degree of loyalty and commitment to your business. But if you squander the trust between you and them by not paying them on time, or not paying them what is fair, then you are wasting their efforts and wasting your own business. So whatever Allah orders us to be muttaqeen in, it is for our own best interest. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us develop the taqwa and the care and the fear of Him. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحابته ومن اتبع سنته بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also tells us وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ. Be mindful of a day in which you come back to Allah. Do we remember the day of judgment? Do we remember what it means? Do you remember the horrors that have been described to us in the Quran of that day? It's enough to remember what Allah says, فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. The winner on that day is one who is pushed a little bit away from hellfire and is entered into paradise. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among the people of paradise. Allahumma hdina fi man hadayt, wa afina fi man afayt, wa tawallana fi man tawallayt, wa qina wasrif anna sharra ma qadayt. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقوتنا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا إلى النار مصيرنا. اللهم لا تدع لنا في يومنا هذا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا كربا إلا نفسته ولا فقيرا إلا أغنيته ولا سائلا إلا أعطيته ولا مبتلا إلا عافيته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا ميتا إلا رحمته ولا حاجة لنا من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها صلاح وفلاح إلا يسرتها. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فستذكرون ما أقول لكم وأفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد وأقم الصلاة.